And or you can see that, okay, example, you look at the technology part. I mean, meaning like all the tools you have in
Oh,
your company, you can really realize that holy, we have like 5 departments or even 5 people. We have so many tools that
for me, anytime that I hear speaking tech, I hear the word simplicity. I believe anytime that I'm speaking to somebody in the tech world and I start feeling that it's complicated, I love technology.
this is exactly, if you want to be a
Now
good
that's
communicator, and you are aware that 80% of the people are visuals versus being auditive.
Yeah.
And even the auditive are very good with visuals because they are dealing with 80% of the population being. So if you communicate your vision and or the tech that you want to do. So if you're a techie person, you need to simplify it, as you said, to make sure that the business people, the visionary people will understand. Hey Mo, how are you today? So are you ready for a nice episode, very fiction, and we're going to talk about speaking tech. I know with
Mm.
technology, it's a big challenge. The issue that I'm seeing every single day, and I'm doing my best to help everybody, is speaking tech and speaking business. I've been in business for more than 25 years, and I'm an engineer by education, and I'm still working on many tech projects. But what about you? In terms, what is your what it inspires you in terms of speaking tech? What does it say to you, Mo?
Oh, that's a great question, Steve. For me, anytime that I hear speaking tech, I hear the word simplicity. I believe anytime that I'm speaking to somebody in the tech world and I start feeling that it's complicated, I love technology. I'm somebody who reads a lot of technological books, technology articles, academic stuff, but it tells me a lot about the individual I'm speaking with in terms of communication style. Because if you can simplify it, that means you got it, you understood the concept, and you're making it so easy for people to interact with you and make it super easy. So for me, speaking tech equals simplicity. Speaking tech is how can we use technology to accomplish a task, and how can we include the human behavior as part of it, because technology cannot operate alone in an empty box. You need that human aspect, that human intelligence, if you will. So Steve, I know this is something that you do on a daily basis. So can you tell us a little bit about the process? How do you communicate with non-technical people while keeping transparency?
Yeah, I think I'd like to start with something that happened yesterday. I was part of
Wow.
an operation call, and I'm there to I'm doing some marketing with this company, and I was just listening, watching, and learning what's happening in operations, so we can adapt the message, we can adapt the marketing, and I can manage their team over there to do the work. And somebody jumped in, high profile individual in terms of his role, and he started to list a bunch of techie terms to techie people. But even those techie terms were even too techie for everybody. So basically, in terms of leadership, unfortunately, he showed that it was not a great leader, because for me, a great leader is to communicate better and better. So if you communicate your vision and or the tech that you want to do. So if you're a techie person, you need to simplify it, as you said, to make sure that the business people, the visionary people will understand, and vice versa. If you have a vision, you need to be able to share it. So it goes both sides. I mean, people can complain to each other. And I think that the simplification is a tough process. So it's not because something is simple that it has been easy to achieve. Because as you said, we need to understand well the tech stuff or the business stuff well enough to be able to keep it simple and make sure that the person you're talking to, the people you're talking to, are understanding it. And my best suggestion for that is you need to put yourself in the shoes of the other, not staying in your shoes. If you're an engineer and you talk engineering stuff, you say, how come that person doesn't understand it? That doesn't make sense. That's easy. That should be trivial. I mean, the settings is always under this and this menu, and that thing is obviously because of physical laws. That should be fine. All that stuff that an engineer can say. No, no, no. Look, and who are you talking to? Are you talking to somebody who is doing accounting? Are you talking to somebody with a vision about bringing AI for fintech stuff? So he's a business or I would say financial finance guru. So you need to put yourself, and obviously with experience, we can talk to these people more often. We're grasping from those people, and we can
Mhm.
do that. Say, okay, I'm talking to that person, and not in a pejorative way, but you need to make sure that you adapt your message. and it goes with my definition, which is I'm not the inventor of it. Is intelligence is how do you adapt to your environment? And speaking to somebody, we have a different language. So if you speak tech to business people, you need to try to make it in business words and business terms if you can, and or you make an analogy that is common to everybody. So this way you can join and make sure that people are understanding it, because you make a link with sports, you make a link with live stuff. So if you don't know
Mm.
accounting, if you don't know finance, if you don't know business and you're a tech person, just make sure you make like a general analogy with your stuff. And this way, that's a very, very good starting point for a next step. Oh, okay, I know what you mean. Your analogy is not great, but I think I get it. Yeah, sure. It was a bit like not perfect. And he can or she can come with another analogy that you can build on. And this way you can start to understand each other this way. So put yourself in the shoes of um, the other person. And that's going to make a big difference when you speak tech or you speak visionary or vision.
That's a really good point, Steve. And I would like to follow up and say that sometimes it's always a good idea to also do some research before a meeting. So this is something that I notice is I go ahead and I try to go to any like let's say LinkedIn or like a place where I can find a little bit about the information about the individual that I'm going to be communicating with, because I want to respect their time. I want to respect the time that they gave me. They gave me an hour. They gave me half an hour. So as you always say, Steve, time is very precious. So I want to respect their time and I want to make sure that I'm there and I explain something to them based on their information. So I go and I first see their educational background. So they have a degree in finance and marketing. All right. So they know these two topics. What are some of the topics that they know that I know that I can use in our conversation? If I'm also a finance background and their finance background, wow, bingo, it's going to win. It's going to be a really good conversation. If it's completely two different words, so let's say they are in biology and I am in computer science, so my job is to do some research. I'm going to go out of my way, take half an hour, 1 hour on a daily basis until the meeting day, and just consume material. So let's talk about biohacking, about technology, about genetics, about anything that I can learn. So when we have a conversation, they can say, you know what, Mo took time and he did the research, and this guy is actually very knowledgeable about the topic. I respect that, and people appreciate hard work and they appreciate that respect. They feel welcome. Hey, welcome to my house, I'm so happy to have you here. The best way to say that virtually is to be prepared. Prepare to prepare every time. Prepare before you prepare so you can be prepared. So I know it rhymes a little bit, but I'm always about preparation, man. I love preparation, and I like to be intuitive, obviously, but anytime that I have a business meeting, a meeting where we are going to discuss business, I'm a different kind of person. I'm very much prepared and I'm ready.
I'm with you on this, and to give a very quick and short trick is go with the AI tools and say,
Oh,
hey, I need to present this to an accountant, example, and please help me to understand how I can bring that, and ask me for an analogy or some analogies that I can bring to the topic, and that person will understand it. And I mean, that's going to work because that thing is going to be very, very powerful. So research, yes, but you can do it in 5 minutes. And you can see if you talk about your background to in the prompt, you'll let know the AI tool that, okay, I am an engineer. So, but I don't want to speak something techie to that accountant. And please make an analogy, make something that he can relate or she can relate. And this way we'll be on the same page, and that person will really get it because, oh, okay, Steve or Mo, they really understand my challenges. They understand what I have to go through and how I can improve that, and they will start to share even more. They will feel comfortable, but also that's going to bring leadership toward you, because as we all know, leaders are great communicators. This is why they are leaders. They are not bosses. The bosses are telling what to do. They are task oriented. But a great
mm,
leader is a great communicator, and people are inspired. But to be inspired, they need to understand it. So if you have an idea that is whatever visionary or complicated, or it uses tech, you need to find a way to make sure that most of the people are understanding. If not, and if they don't, you need to go and do your research And I think AI can help a lot doing that. And that's going to be like so much different in your company, so more effective because they will come back with better ideas than yours because they will understand. And having more brains on the table with different angles, with different expertise, experiences, that's going to be amazing what you're going to bring. And I do that with my customers. They don't know tech, they are worried. And I say, okay, we're going to use this tool. That tool will do this and this and that. But we're going to focus on these few things at the beginning, but in the future, it can do such and such. And usually, 1 week, 2 weeks, they come back and say, Steve, you told me that story about this stuff we can do. Can it do that too? And yes, so that's is very funny because you're just planting seeds and they come back with better ideas. So again, when you communicate very well, it shows up and they understand and now they want to go further. And by the way, just as a bonus, the resistance to change is reduced by a lot.
Wow,
Somebody who
that is good.
understands is somebody who is willing to participate, to commit and get it done, and to get what the best KPI is really to get adoption to your new tools, your new idea, and adoption could be customers buying your tools, buying your product, and making your product and your company a success.
That's a really good point, Steve. I agree with you. I agree with you. Sometimes during my career, I saw so many companies that I worked with. Some of them they succeeded. They made a lot of money. They were super, super happy. But few, as you know, Steve, in the marketplace of startups, some companies fail. I noticed a pattern, Steve, that I would love to share with you and our audience. I noticed that companies that fail, they make tech very complicated. We are a SaaS-driven company that provides you with a polymorphic way of building a platform as oh, whoa, whoa, man, slow it down, brother. Hit the brakes. What's going on here? But those who succeed, simple. Do you want to make your life easy with email marketing? Click this button. Simple. Simple, man. Simple, just simple stuff. So,
Yeah.
and this, as you can see, this gets me excited. I love a web page that is simple with one button. You know exactly what you want to do. Because a lot of stuff, if you think about it, Steve, we're busy. Steve is listening to a podcast, he's talking, let's say, to his freelancers, he's working, he's sending emails. So I know just my interaction with you, Steve, sometimes you don't go with some products or some services when it's too complicated. I shared with you some, and we're like, Mo, this one is not my type of product. They have so many tools. They're just fancy words. And after doing the investigation, I came back to you and was like, Steve, that's a good point. Actually, they are very complicated. So I think sometimes sounding fancy can break your business. You can lose money. You can lose employees. A lot of people are not going to work with you anymore. So it's always a good idea to remember at the end of the day, if you have two options, complicated or easy, always go with the easy one. Always go with, because if you go with complicated thinking that you're going to target the intellectual people, the technical people, man, these people they build their own tools. They will just start building their own. They will use Python and they will scrape the content. They can do something. They will be able to build their own tool. But a simple user who's looking to save time, time equals money. So I'm gonna pay to save time. That's a very easy mathematical equation to make some money and of course to generate revenues. Steve, what do you think about diagram in or graphics, perhaps like a step-by-step process, like a diagram, in order to simplify a technical process?
You're stealing my next point. This is exactly if you want to be a
Yeah,
good
that's
communicator, and you are aware that 80% of the people are visuals versus being auditive,
yeah.
and even the auditive are very good with visuals because they are dealing with 80% of the population being visual. So the auditive are very good with visuals. So basically, at the end, 100% of people, they like having nice diagrams, nice pictures. And even last night I was doing something. I said, okay, I'm going to go and take the time to pick up the logos to have nice visuals to make sure it's well understood with links of data flowing left and right to really explain to this customer, this is how it goes, and also confirm what I understood. So basically having an interactive exchange with them with the visuals. If I just put words and I say a few things, and we have a long paragraph to explain something. Yes, but if you are able to craft a diagram, it takes time, but it shows up that you understood, and also you can optimize it afterwards, or they can optimize it with your diagram, depending on what's your role in this project. But diagrams are, I mean, a picture is 1,000 words. I mean, that's it. So diagram is even more than 1,000 words, in my opinion, because this is what people can relate to when they are talking to each other and looking for solutions and look at missing pieces. And or you can see that, okay, example, you look at a technology park. I mean, meaning like all the tools you have in
Oh,
your company, you can really realize that holy, we have like 5 departments or even 5 people. We have so many tools that this one is using Microsoft Project, the other one is doing like Zoho projects, and this one is doing Trello in the same company. How come? That type of stuff. So this it's a topic in itself for an episode. But what I mean by this is having diagrams will like pop up. It is going to pop in your face what doesn't work, what's not effective. So I, piece of paper if you want, or OneNote, or anything you can draw on your tablet. I like to use my tablet. I'm mentioning that often. Just draw, and move stuff and see how they work together. And it's going to, you're going to come up with so many ideas more than you can think of. But using that, sorry, to communicate very well with your audience, with your people, that's the way to go. People will get it and say, can you share me this diagram? I'd like to get it. And that the data coming from this and this. So perhaps we could connect it with this one, with this one. So again, so many options, but diagrams, I am 100% a big fan of it. Big fan of them.
I love
What
it.
about you?
I
If
love
you
it,
asked the
Steve.
question, I guess you had something in mind.
Oh, yeah, yeah, absolutely. I always ask a question because I know we both share a really good understanding of the topic. And I would say this, Steve, for me, I noticed that diagrams, they yield or they return a better understanding because as you know, Steve, I'm doing technical training. And at the end of every session, you always have to ask the individual that took your technical training, what do you think? And give it to me straight, which means if it's bad, let me know it's bad. If it's good, let me know it's bad. It's good. So what I do is I noticed that heavy diagram classes, they always return a super happy community, a super happy students because it's easy. Step one, step two, step three. So it makes sense. Even in our mind, it makes sense. But once you start choosing bullet points, long paragraphs, confusing terms,
Yeah.
it will not be a good idea at all. People are going to be confused, especially in tech, because tech it's interconnectivity of different things in a virtual world if you think about it. So I'm always doing that, and sometimes I do what we call the zoom in process. So the zoom in process is you have 3 steps, then we zoom to step 2, then there are other steps, etc. So I don't like to show everything in one page because sometimes we have a diagram and it's a big page and it's counterintuitive because one page and you see so many boxes and you're like, wow, this is so confusing, I don't know my way around it. So I try to zoom in, so I have a small process, zoom in, another process, zoom in, another process. Then I can show everything at the end of the day. So it's a super artistic, creative way of explaining technology, especially in cloud computing, AI, or even a simple technical, let's say, app, if you will. And that's something that I believe our audience members should think about. Steve, perhaps one last question before we uh, 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 and the day, if you will. So during your life, you had a lot of technical and non-technical users that you communicated with. What is the main difference between explaining to technical users and explaining to non-technical users? And which strategy do you use with both? So with the technical user, what do you do? Do you is there a particular strategy? Is there more research? Which one is more time consuming as a technical user? So our perhaps audience member, they can classify themselves. Oh, I'm technical, so I'm going to use this strategy. I'm non-technical, I'm going to use this one.
No, that's it's a very valid question in the role. So in many companies, I'm doing virtual CIO, as you know, so Chief Information Officer.
Oh,
So I act as a leader in many companies. So I have this role of being a leader and sharing and communicating the vision and making the link between the owners, the founders, the C-suite people, and the staff. But I also want to be hands-on. So when we have, example, multiple departments, I go in and I'm talking to the people who are doing the job uh, every day. So this way, I want to be there because if I'm going there, I can learn and bring that up, and vice versa. So the bridge
hmm.
that I'm building is not only management and middle management. I'm trying to work right with middle management with their employees. So this way, I can learn both, and I keep keep the right knowledge and the right tactics of what's going on. So yeah, the again, I go back to you need to adapt to the crowd, and you need to speak like in a language that makes sense. And I'm fortunate enough to have done that for a long time, and I own a few businesses, so I wear a lot of hats, so I can be in example in the shoes of the person who is just entering stuff in an Excel spreadsheet and say, okay, how we can improve that? So basically, just asking questions to them, and make always keep in mind that okay, the management, that's what they want at the end. How we can bring this alignment of this one task and improve it to connect it with multiple tasks of other people. And those multiple tasks are a project. The project is part of a program, and the program is aligned with the objectives of the company. So always keep in mind, and sometimes this is what the people entering the stuff are not aware of because the leaders are not communicating well, or they have challenges that brings them out of their, I would say, out of that alignment. So my role is to do this alignment like the C-suite, but I tend to go down because I like to know what's going on at different levels, because this is the way I'm bringing more value to the management if they don't do it themselves. So,
Mm,
and I don't mind having like dirty hands and go down and learn from it. So it's a different messages, obviously. So it takes time to learn it, without any pretension. But everybody can learn. Everybody can learn it as long as you want to dig deep and learn quickly from any levels in an organization. So I would say that if you want to speak tech well, you need to understand the vision and the main goal of speaking tech. If we go back to our title, is to align with the business objectives. You don't want your tech project to be a loss. You don't want to be it to fail. You don't want to be an expense. You want that to be an investment. And to be an investment, it needs to generate revenues and be aligned with the objectives of the enterprise with the right vision. That will be my last words, my friend.
makes sense, Steve. And with that, please subscribe, hit the like button, and thank you so much for joining us. Thank you, Steve, for your time, and see you all in the next episode of Make Tech Work. Take care.
Always a pleasure. Bye, Mo.
Bye, Steve.